Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the film music release of the year, or whatever long period of time you choose to select. It's this one, Bernard Herrmann, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and On Dangerous Ground, the complete film scores, wonderfully conducted by William T. Stromberg. Remember, who did all those Marco Polo things? And with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra, yay, on Intrada. And oh, this is wonderful stuff. My goodness, it's marvelous. First of all, let's talk about the fact that it's just Bernard Herrmann, two complete Bernard Herrmann scores, beautifully restored, reconstructed, wonderfully played, and recorded, with one tiny exception that I will get to momentarily. Anyway, The Man Who Knew Too Much, let's see, that was 1956. And then we've got, let's see, On Dangerous Ground was 1951. Now, The Man Who Knew Too Much was the prelude is rather well known. That gets played every so often, but the complete score isn't. And it's really very interesting because the complete score, that prelude, in other words, is written for an enormous orchestra, but the rest of it is written for, generally speaking, chamber-like forces, small forces, and it's a very beautiful score. And the ending actually includes a little touch of Que Sera, Sera. Remember that tune? That was sung by Doris Day, I guess, in the original movie. So, yeah, it's wonderful to have this. It's only a 29-minute score, all of it. I mean, the music is used very abstemiously. It's done very selectively, but very effectively. And it's vintage Bernard Herrmann. It really is. There's some beautiful tracks here. Now, I do have to say, and this is true of all of these recordings of complete film scores, I admire the fact that they're giving us every note the man wrote. It's great. But you have to be prepared to deal with sniglets, things that, the Tovey once talked about the classification of English trains, those which start but never arrive, those which arrive but never start, and those which neither start nor arrive. That's what you get here in some parts. They're just fragments. And they don't all fit together the way, for example, Korngold's scores tend to. They're not continuous, and they're not designed to be continuous. And so you have to be aware of that. The longer cues are beautiful, and there's no issue with them, of course. But since we're getting every bit, you have to get ready that there's some little bits and pieces here that nip and tuck. You get two versions of the finale, which is great, except that the finale is either 19 seconds or 20 seconds. Again, these are short bursts of Hermannosity. That's what you get, but it's still vintage stuff, so it's wonderful to have. And it's fabulously played and recorded. Now, On Dangerous Ground was one of Herrmann's favorite scores because it has the Death Hunt. The Death Hunt, which was recorded by Charles Gerhardt. It's got 8 horns braying and going crazy. Apparently, the scene for which it was intended was not terribly interesting. So Herrmann jazzed it up by doing the Death Hunt. And that's a major track. That's 4 minutes and a bit, 4 minutes and 25 seconds. There's all kinds of longer stuff in On Dangerous Ground. It's 44 minutes long. And the only issue I have with this recording is the Death Hunt. I hate to say. It seems to have been recorded at a slightly lower volume than the rest of it. It is fabulously played by the orchestra and Stromberg. I mean, they just go nuts on it. So it's not a question of playing. You just have to crank it up. You really do, because the producer talks about the actual recording. They use 46 microphones everywhere. It's a very multi-mic'd production. So some of the quieter chamber bits sound quite present and loud. Some of the bigger, more panoramic things had to be recorded at a lower level to capture the different sense of acoustic space. And that's what happens here. So don't be disappointed and don't let it deceive you. It's a beautifully done production, but those dynamic changes can be a little bit disconcerting. Also, the fact that, like I said, some of these cues end nowhere. So they kind of just stop, and the fade-ins and fade-outs are kind of abrupt. I mean, that's what happens when you get everything, as opposed to a suite, or as opposed to a more trimmed down, edited version for recorded purposes. This is just, they tell it like it is. the plain truth, according to Bernard Herrmann. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So I recommend this very strongly for all of you film music aficionados. And I want to thank the person, the viewer, who told me this was coming out, because I snagged it immediately. And I'm happy as a clam to be able to promote it to the world in general. Listen to the Death Hunt. Crank it up and listen to the Death Hunt. It's just amazing. I mean, but the whole score is wonderful, and it uses that Death Hunt as sort of a leitmotif through the whole thing, so it's great. Oh, and there's also a wonderful love theme with a viola d'amore solo. I mean, what's not to love? Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.